Hello and welcome to today's review of Kohinoor Versatil 5228. This is a small pocket-sized drop clutch pencil from Kohinoor. We have earlier looked at the 5608, which is another pocket pencil, and today our focus will be on the 5228. So a quick overview of this pencil. It does not come with a knurled or a metal grip section. Instead, it is a uniform hexagonal body which has a nice glossy layer of paint on it, which is not slippery at all. It gives a very nice grip. It does come with a clip, but the hexagonal body with the facets has pretty big facets where it is unlikely to roll off the table if as long as the surface is flat. With the clip, it has 3 points where it is balanced. One is when the clip is resting on this side. The other is it is resting on the gap in the clip, which is this gap. And third is the clip down. There's another equilibrium state, which is this, where the clip goes down, but that is not really a very stable position. Anyway, while we're talking about the shape, the 5608 was circular and slightly thinner. This one has a slightly bigger dia, or slightly thicker, but both of them weigh approximately the same. The balance, of course, while this one has a uniform body and is roughly in the center, the 5608 was slightly more biased towards the front. The paint is, like I said, has offers a very nice grip, so you don't really miss the grip in the Kohinoor, or as they write it with the hyphens in between. This is the 5228, which is a pocket pencil. I am currently using a Staedtler 2B, which has sort of become my standard lead for most reviews, simply because it shows up very well on the camera. The other graphite tends to reflect a little bit and gets lost if it's too light. In fact, while we're doing this and we're talking about the leads, let's quickly do a lead length test, because not all because these small mechanical pencils clutch holders tend to require smaller leads. So here, this is the Kohinoor 5201, and the review for this is coming soon or already on the channel, depending on when you're watching this video. This is a Kohinoor 2B lead, and okay, before I load the lead in, the reason I'm not loading it from the back is quite interesting. First, the end cap, it comes with a 4-pronged lead pointer, so you can just insert the lead inside this and rotate either one to get a pointed lead. But because there could be some residue that gets left inside this and you might not be able to clean it properly, what Kohinoor does is they block off the back end of these lead holders, so you can't really feed the lead in from the back. It is sealed from the end. So what it does is it just acts like a reservoir. Once in a while you can just tap it out and empty it in case there is any residue that is trapped inside the pencil, which I think is a very good thing, very thoughtful of Kohinoor to do this. Anyway, let's try loading the lead from the front. And of course, see, for a drop clutch, it really does not matter, because it's actually easier to drop the lead in from the front instead of unscrewing the back and trying to load it from behind. Let's quickly check how much of the lead protrudes out. So out of the 120 mm length or 12 centimeter length, you have about 2 centimeters that is jutting out. So the absolute maximum length that you can use, which can be fully retracted inside, is about 9.5 centimeters, 950 because you have to reduce these 250 which is taking out. Or what I tend to do is I keep leads in these small test tubes where partially used leads which get smaller can then be reused for the smaller pencils and the longer lead holders. I continue to work with the longer leads that are there. Anyway, as I get this off the screen, I think looks wise, Kohinoor's done a very good job. I really like both of these colors. The black is an ominous saturated black, and the red is a nice and bright, cheerful red. So almost like a vermilion red. This one is, which I quite like. However, I think there is a kind of varnish that Kohinoor uses to get this gloss finish and grip on the pencil. And if you smell it, you can, yeah, you can still smell it. These pencils are more than 18 months old, almost 2 years, approaching 2 years, and they must have been in stock with where I got it from and the transit, add all of that. So about 2 to 3 plus years, and you can still smell the varnish. It's very faint. It is not something that's going to be offensive or trigger any allergies. At least it wasn't a problem for me. I think it's a nice, pleasant, almost dreamy smell. Maybe it adds another dimension to the pencil. There are some pencils that I've used where this kind of a smell has been a bit much, and I have not been able to use those pencils. These are not those. For Kohinoor, it's okay. And the reason I speculated it's probably the varnish is because the 5608 does not have that smell. It's only the ones which have these glossy bodies and not the matte body that have these smells. Also, it's not from the plastic because even this one, which is the Kohinoor 5209, it has a triangular body and it has no paint or varnish. It's a simple matte plastic, and this also does not have that smell. Now, let's look at the drop clutch mechanism more closely. As you can see, these prongs are a bit thin, and this is again something that you will see in most of my Kohinoor videos. And if I compare this with the Staedtler, let me just try and get them side by side. Yeah. So you can notice how the Staedtler. Yeah. Also, you could see that I probably was not able to open the Staedtler's mouth fully. Let me just try pressing them against the paper. So the springs also, while the Kohinoor comes with much lighter springs, the Staedtler and in fact all the other drop holders, drop clutch type lead holders that I have from Staedtler, Faber-Castell, Rotring, those generally tend to have a lot firmer springs. This one is a light spring and a light clutch action. Now, one more thing that is very interesting on this pencil is there is a slight issue on the red one where this front metal part is not married perfectly to the body. There is slightly off center. So if I move my finger here, you can see that it gets stuck slightly on the upside and not while coming down. And as I keep rotating it, it's getting stuck a bit more. My fingernail is going underneath this chrome part. And as I rotate, you'll see it started slipping and instead it gets stuck on the plastic part. So it's offset very slightly. Here you can see the red part from this angle, while on this side, even if I rotate it, you can't see the red part of the body at all. So this is something that again has not affected performance till now. It's not leading to any lead breakages and is not there in the black pencil. Also, while we're talking about build, there's a slight chipping of the paint on the top of this, which also reveals the metal body underneath. Um, in fact, one of the pencils I had received originally in the packaging also had this issue. I had to get it replaced. and this one also has developed the same issue. So I don't know if it's, and that also incidentally was red. So maybe the red pencils here in Kohinoor are a bit cursed. I don't know. I'm sure you can get them in the other Kohinoor colors, which is yellow and blue, though I haven't found them in the India market. But there's no reason for them to not make them in these colors. Let me know what all colors are available in your countries. Now, let's do a quick sharpening test, which is the perpetual bane of Kohinoor pencils. Let me just unscrew the lead pointer and get the catch underneath. So, one of the things with these kind of pointers is, in fact, the lead pointer, before I get to sharpening, if you, there are benefits and there are merits of having something like this versus an inbuilt lead pointer like this. So this is again the Staedtler Marsh Technico 980. Here, if you insert it and you sharpen, you don't really have to worry about the lead falling around while you're sharpening it. But the problem is cleaning this afterwards, because it's hard to get a complete clean and you end up getting some graphite dust on you or around you after you're done sharpening. Here, you have to worry about it while you're sharpening, but once you're done sharpening, you don't really have to worry about it too much. And if you look at this, it's doing a fairly decent job. In fact, let's just sharpen it to a point and also show you the kind of point that it does create. I like these. I prefer these simple exposed mechanisms where these are also easy to maintain. If one day it stops sharpening, you can just check and see what's happening. Also, this one seems to be producing a rather long point. One challenge that you'll find with these Kohinoor pencils is that the core is not married to the body very firmly. Um, what does that mean? It means a lot of times if you put slightly harder leads, this is a 2B lead, but if you have a slightly harder lead and you try to sharpen it inside a lead pointer, you will have the entire core slipping instead of the blade being able to grind the graphite or the lead. So as a result, this is the kind of point I got. This is very functional. It gets the job done. I have not been able to achieve a very sharp tip. Should I continue sharpening it and see how sharp it gets? I honestly do not use these end cap sharpeners a lot. I prefer using standalone lead pointers. They're much faster. As you see, it takes a while to really get to a point on this. And you might say the same about my reviews. It takes a while for me to get to the point. But no, I don't think it's going to give you a needle dip. But what it does is it gives you a nice long aspect ratio, and it gives you a lead which is just about usable enough. It's not very sharp, but it's not a blunt 2 mm also. So in a pinch, it'll get you out of get you out of sticky situations. And despite this, you will see that there is some graphite dust which has crept onto the page. So maybe you need a catch with a bigger opening. And just give me a minute while I clean this. These pencils are also compatible with the rotary type lead pointers. And okay, see this. As you might see, this has started coming undone. And this is a common issue that you will face with this pencil. Um, Either I don't know how it happens this time. Of course, it was as a result of sharpening. On most occasions, it's just that the sharpener will grip onto the pencil. This one's also too sharp, so probably not a good demo point right now. But what happens is this whole thing let me just show you like this. The entire inners of the pencil tend to rotate freely. I'm just rotating the back. So what happens is, since this is rotating freely, once you try to hold the lead and sharpen, it does not actually grip the lead and the whole thing rotates. So it's not a very big problem. All you need to do is hold the back end and then sharpen it, and then it gets the job done. This one I think was my KUM Long Point Sharpener with which I got this point. Anyway, we have plenty of Kohinoor pencils that we will be testing. Let's quickly move towards closing it. How is the usability of this pencil? And let's look at again writing for long writing sessions, for short writing sessions, and for drawing. And here I will take a perspective of desk and travel. Since the size is small, I think it is a much better travel pencil than a desk pencil. And all my ratings will be on a scale of 1 to 7, with 1 being the lowest and 7 being the best. I usually don't give 1 or 7, so those I leave out because there can always be something better and always be something worse. So I don't want to go there ever. Um, though I have been there once with certain pencils, but anyway, that's beside the point. So for long writing sessions, it is okay. I would say it's somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5. For short writing sessions, if you have to just take quick notes or just need a handy writing instrument around, this is perfect, 5.5 to 6. Uh, for drawing, it's a bit complicated. My Where I want to be is between 3 to 5, and that is contextual, because while you can do simple construction lines, you can do your sketches. Where it struggles is if I have to do a lot of shading. I like to hold. I tend to prefer longer pencils for that, and which is where this length, which is a more standard length on the 5201, comes in. So I tend to enjoy this a lot more because I get the leverage, I get the full length of the pencil, and then an extended lead to work with. This one's a bit too small for shading because then you're just holding on to a tiny pencil. And one of the core reasons of using a lead holders, one of the core reasons behind using a lead holder is that they don't get smaller as you use them. So yeah, for drawing while traveling, it is fantastic. When you don't want to have a big, when you don't want to carry a big pencil with you, and let's say you have a small pocket diary. In fact, this is an A6 pocket diary, and this is almost perfectly the right size. So what you can do is you can just do your scribbles and drawings and sketches on these type of pencils, on these type of notebooks. I think these are a very good pairing, either this or even this one. uh, the only reason I prefer this to this, no, I prefer this to this, is the automatic lead progression. The 5608 is more controlled. I really don't want to be dropping my lead when I am out and about, so that's the only drawback. But if you can be mindful, and you can remember to always open these carefully, release the lead carefully, I would say it's a 5 to 6 for drawing. And for writing, even if you have to do long writing sessions in a pinch while you're traveling, I really don't see a problem. All of these are top notch. So that is all I had to say about it. So, as always, we go to the buy or no buy decision, and I can recommend this one. if this is buy and this is do not buy, um, this one is a pencil I quite enjoy. In fact, the way it feels in the hand, and see again, this is where the size is important. If I'm sitting and writing on a desk, especially while sketching, I tend to hold the pencil further back, and there I start quickly running out of a resting space. A third point of contact, the stabilizing contact with the, what do you call this part of the hand? Anyway, with this bridge on my hand, the webbing between the thumb and the index finger, is it? So this contact is acts like a stabilizer. It just gives you a more steady sketching while this one runs out of that space. So this was the reason for the rating we saw here. But anyway, um, that does not change the recommendation, because if you're getting out of the house, this is a good pencil to throw in your shirt pocket or in your backpack or in your travel bag. And thus, I can firmly recommend this as a buy. And that, my friends, is all that I have. If you like this video and you've made it this far, do consider the other videos and other reviews that are there on this channel. And if you'd like to keep coming back and watching more, consider subscribing. Thank you very much for your time today and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.